Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's training. I am Karena Calhoun. I am your life and business strategist. So, super thrilled to be with you all today. We're going to be talking about something that I really feel like this is just a much needed conversation. And so, I have been having this conversation with pretty much everyone I can talk to. So, we're going to be talking today about the side hustle thing, right? This side hustle and how we look at our go from side hustle to success. Whatever success looks like for you, whatever success feels like for you. And then how do we balance that business building with a 9 to 5? And I really believe that this is something that a lot of people currently are trying to maneuver through. And so this is something I really wanted to be able to talk about, right? So how do you maneuver through creating your side hustle, being successful with your side hustle, and then moving into that success while you're building your 9 to 5, right? And so if you're watching live or if you're watching the replay, either way, it doesn't matter. I want you to drop in the chat, what is your biggest challenge, right? What is your biggest challenge with balancing your 9 to 5 and your side hustle? I know when I was working 9 to 5 and I was trying to build my business, trying to get the time in to create some of the things that needed to be created for the business was huge for me. So I spent a lot of nights up at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., and then having to turn around and go back to the 9 to 5 at 8 and 9 a.m. So drop in the chat, what is your biggest challenge? Erin says time management and expectations. Yeah. We're gonna dial into that just a tad bit today. Nothing too heavy because I don't want to overwhelm you, right? I don't want to overwhelm you, but I do want to tell you that you don't need to choose between your job and your business right away, right? You don't need to choose. You actually can do both, and your job can become Halama says time management. Yep. Your job can become a strategic asset for your business and not just really, the time constraint that we think of. So just keep this in mind as we are moving through today's session. So today, what I wanted to be able to do was just really talk about initially, how can we shift our mindset, right? How can we shift our mindset? And one of the things that we can begin to shift, how we can shift our mindset, is to know that your 9 to 5 can be an investor. Deborah Campbell here in the community, she says this all the time. She calls her 9 to 5 her investor, her silent investor. And so you can think of your 9 to 5 as your first investor. They're investing in it, right? They're providing the steady income that you need to fuel your business without the pressure to make that side hustle profitable on day one, right? So that 9 to 5 is investing in that business, and they're helping to create the profitable business from day one. And so you can begin to allocate a portion of your paycheck directly to your business account each month if you so choose. That was something that I did very early on. I had a set amount that I would have automatically drawn out and sent to my business checking account, and that was my investment. And so this investment, it can go towards tools, it can go towards marketing, it can go towards building, that financial cushion that you're going to need at some point so that you can eventually make the leap to full-time entrepreneurship. And so with that comes that mindset shift. Instead of feeling like your job is holding you back, see it as a means to build your dream with less financial stress. Right? That's one way that I was able to, if you don't know my story, I started my business in 2018. I had a full-time job, very good job, very cushy job. A year later, that business shut down nationwide completely. It just completely dissolved. And again, I had been putting money into my business account on a regular basis. Did it mean it was still stress, right? It was still stress. I'm not going to say that it wasn't. But when you think of these things in these ways, try to do that if at all possible. I don't care if it's $5. I don't care if it's $5. Begin to think of how you can invest that money, something into your business. That way you see your 9 to 5 in a different way, right? And what I've been telling folks recently is this. You're here, right? You're starting right here. You want to be here. So now you've got to create that bridge from here to here, which is going to be your strategy. So you need to have that strategy. Well, what happens is if you're creating a business that's going to help you exit or as I say, escape the 9 to 5, then it puts you in a different frame of mind. Because when you have that, I'm here and I want to be here, but I have the bridge, which is the strategy. When you have that strategy and you're working the strategy, then all of the other stuff with the 9 to 5, if they're, frustrating you, if it's like one of those, tension grabbing jobs like that, you begin to go in like you're happy-go-lucky. They don't understand why all of a sudden you're smiling at everybody and all of these things. And it's because even if it's going to take you a year, even if your strategy is going to take you a year, that you're getting up out of there. That you are escaping. And so when you have that strategy, it is so ideal. And so one of the things, so just think about the first thing as far as just shifting your mindset first and foremost, right? Because this is what's going to help you really navigate the strategy that you put in place. So the second thing is micro time strategies. And this is leveraging the small gaps of time that you have, right? This is you're building a business, and it doesn't require huge time blocks when you're starting out like this. It requires consistency, right? Consistency in small focused actions, small focused tasks. So when you can do this creates the momentum that you need. So a lot of times I was talking with someone yesterday and I was telling them that there's income generating activities and then there's busy work when you're doing a business. And I was explaining that things like creating flyers and things like that, that's not income generating activities. So when you create those micro timed strategies, right, those small gaps of time, those small pockets of time, but you're quick, you're hitting it. You're being very consistent in what you're doing and you're being very focused in what you're doing. It makes a huge difference. So if you have a 30-minute lunch break or maybe an hour lunch break, you take 30 minutes of that hour or 15 minutes of that 30 minutes and you begin to do things that move the needle for your business. And you do this consistently, it makes a huge difference, right? So you can use these micro time, I would say, strategy times. They could be short bursts of 15 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever. It could be 10 minutes. It could be 5 minutes, as long as you're dialed into it. And this is to really accomplish specific tasks, right? If you have commute time, one thing that I used to do, because I drove and where I live and where I worked at the time was a good 45-minute drive. And so because there was traffic, I had to go across a bridge. It was a lot of stuff. So you can use voice memos as you're brainstorming content ideas, things like that. So use the tools the tools that you have at your fingertips. again, lunch breaks. Do you can do all kinds of things on your lunch break. You can record a podcast on your lunch break, right? I remember when I first started doing podcasts, before the podcast that I have now, because I started way before then. But when I started doing it, I was doing it in my closet in the morning. I would hurry up and get dressed, get ready while my family was getting ready. And then once they left, I had a good 20 minutes. Once they left the house, and then the time that I needed to leave to get to work, I had a good 20 minutes that I could shave off and just go in the closet and record a 15-minute podcast. And that's how I started. This was a previous podcast, but that's how I started that years ago. So you have to really be creative in your time and what it is you wanting to do, right? And then what can you do? Like I said, what can you do in the mornings? What can you do on your lunch break? What can you do in the afternoons? What can you do in the evenings? Maybe there are some things that you can do once the house is settled and is quiet. You may have to sacrifice a few hours of sleep, maybe an hour of sleep, whatever the case may be. But think about these things as you are creating your escape plan from the 9 to 5. All right. So for those that are watching, I would love for you to drop in the chat. Again, if you're watching live or the replay, drop in the chat maybe 2 or 3. It could be more time slots in your day that you think you can fit in some business tasks. So drop that in the chat. Let me see, because we want to start brainstorming these things. So drop in the chat 2 or 3 micro time slots that you think you can incorporate in your day to build your business. Because I think this is, when we start getting our thoughts going, we're like, wait a minute. I actually have more time than I thought. I actually can do this. I have a mentor. She said recently, when people were saying, I don't have time to do this or I don't have time to do that, she said she told them, okay, now do a time assessment from the time you wake up in the morning to the time you go to bed at night. Do a time assessment and let's see what you have. And people are like, yeah, I actually do have the time. So think about this when you are, Aaron says early mornings before 7 a.m., lunch hours. This will encourage me to take them. Okay, we're not going to talk about that, Aaron, because you really should be taking your lunch. Yes, ma'am. You should be taking your lunch. That is yours. And now you can take it and actually be productive for your business. Jen says, I really like the voice memo idea for the drive to from work. Absolutely. And Jen also says, after the kids and hubby go to bed. Yeah. And I would let my husband know. My husband, and I say this all the time, my husband is probably the most supportive human being I've ever met in my life. He really, he supports me in my shenanigans, y'all. It is unreal. He supports me in all of my shenanigans. And so if I say, listen, I'm going to be up for a little while, or I'm going to get up early, whatever. Well, I can't get up any earlier than him. He gets up at 4:30. But, he's going to be supportive in whatever I say I'm going to do. So, yeah. And so I would have to do that. There would be, when I first started my business in 2018, there were plenty of nights I would be up until 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, crawl into bed and be up and ready to go to work 8, 9 o'clock the next morning. And he has been supportive of that. So have those meaningful, deep conversations with your family and let them know this is your heart's desire. This is what you want to do. It's not just for you. It's not something just fun, and it's not a hobby, but this is something that I want to do that can help actually propel the family forward if you can really get your footing. So have those conversations. So I don't suggest you stay up late and going to bed late and all of these things, getting up early, and your family is like, what in the world is she doing? Have those conversations so that they know, so that they can support you, so that they can help support you in what you're doing. It's vital. It's vital. It's vital mentally and physically. Mentally and physically, emotionally. Okay? So make sure you have those conversations. I didn't mean to, that was not a part of, in my mind, was not a part of where I wanted to go with this. So whoever that's for, please take it. Please take it. Okay? The other thing is you want to focus on high leverage activities, right? High leverage activities. Because what happens is when you have limited time and you focus on activities that bring the most significant results, that brings that win, and it brings that momentum. It brings the win and it brings the momentum. So focus on high leverage activities. What's going to leverage your business the most that you can do right now? The small, and I hate to say it like this, but I have to, the small piddly things, let that stuff go. Let it go. If you don't need to do it right now, don't do it. Okay? All right? Everybody good with that? Let me just pause there for a second. Everybody good with that? Because I know, I know that can seem a little harsh, but if we're going to escape the 9 to 5, we're going to have to put some things into place. Right? If we're going to escape the 9 to 5, we're going to have to put some things into place. Okay? So let's think about the 80-20 rule, right? The 80-20 rule. 80% of your results are going to come from 20% of your efforts. 80% of your results are going to come from 20% of your efforts. So you want to identify the 20% of the 20% of the tasks that will move the needle in your business. That's why it's so vital that we do the high leverage activities. That's why it's vital that we do the things that will matter 100% now, right? So these things can be things like building relationships with potential clients, collaborations, content that drives engagement and grows your audience, not just content. We're not going to stop at just content, but content that drives engagement and grows your audience, right? Maybe having a signature product or service that you can promote repeatedly, something that's evergreen, right? So write those down. Write those down. You don't need to tell us, but take a minute to write down like your top 3 activities that would benefit the most in your business right now, that would help you focus on the micro items, right? The high leverage items. And then one of the last things is having boundaries and energy management. One thing I taught about this about 2 weeks ago in another venue, and what I explained to them is the difference between an employee and an entrepreneur is, when it comes to productivity, is an employee's productivity is based on output. It's based on output, what they can produce. And an entrepreneur's productivity is based on time and energy management. Time and energy management. So when we think about boundaries and energy management, it's not just the time, right? It's about you managing your energy. It's about you not being burnt out before you reach your goals. Okay? It's setting clear boundaries between work, family, and the side hustle. Work, family, and the side hustle. Like you can have a hard stop at 9 p.m. for the side hustle just to make sure you get some rest, if that's what you need. If that's what you need, right? Another example is that you automate whenever you can. There's so many automation tools out here because of the technology age that we're in. There's so many automation tools. You can schedule so many different things. Almost everything at this point you can schedule. You can even consider getting a virtual assistant. Even within this, I want to say just drop in a self-care reminder, okay? Acknowledge that you're doing a lot. Building a business it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So you want to prioritize sleep. You want to make sure you get your exercise, and you want to have those moments of rest. Okay? Just to recap really quickly, you want to leverage your 9 to 5 as your investor, however that looks for you. Use micro time for focused work. Focus on those high leverage activities. Set boundaries to manage energy, not just time, right? And just remember, it's not about hustling hard, right? We've got to get out of this idea of hustle culture, okay? It's about being strategic. Your 9 to 5 can be the foundation that supports your business. It can be the foundation that takes you from a dream of building a business, to small, really consistent actions that build up momentum over time. So keep all of this in mind as you are building your business, because you 100% can do it, and you can escape the 9 to 5. You have to be strategic about it. That is going to be key for you. So that was, again, just really talking about how do we begin to maneuver out of the 9 to 5. How do we escape, really, the 9 to 5 and really building out our business? So again, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, if you're watching the replay, just drop hashtag replay, and I will definitely see your comment. If you say, Karena, you know what, I need a little bit more. I need some more guidance. I need some hand holding. I got you. If you look down in the pinned comment, you'll see my resource hub link. That's going to take you to all the different things that we offer. In addition to that, if you see at the top, it says Break Through the Noise Strategy Session. You can schedule a free Break Through the Noise strategy session with me. I'll be happy to chat with you and see how we can work together to get you going and have you to create that escape plan from the 9 to 5. So that is all that I have for now, and I will see you all later. Bye for now.